No, the frequency that this code occurs in human affairs is too striking to be mere circumstance. Take, for instance, the two pillars standing at the front of Solomon's temple. Solomon himself specified that they be exactly 18 cubits tall. 3 sixes or 666 equals 18. Take the planets that affect conditions on Earth. The 3 inner planets line up and repeat their orbital positions every 11 years. All of the outer planets except Pluto repeat their positions every 180 years. Again, the 18 appears. Right now, in 1975, the Earth and planets are ending a 180-year cycle, a 100-year cycle, a 22-year cycle, and an 11-year cycle. And during the past 11 years, a number of peculiar things have happened on the sun. All of these things has been reported in the national press and is causing great concern among scientists around the world. I took the Solomonic Code and applied it to 3 names, St. John, Fatima, and America. All 3 provided the same number, 1976. I believe beyond any reasonable doubt that the world, and certainly America, is headed for a climatic concurrence in these next 2 critical years, 1975 and 1976. Since I recorded the UFO message in early 1974, I have traveled over much of the United States, appearing on many radio and television programs. One of the things that has impressed me the most is that people everywhere, at every level of human society, has already a concern about all of these things. Everywhere you go, you can sense this feeling of concern and anxiety. It's as if people are expecting something to happen, but they do not know exactly what they're waiting for. This, I believe, is one of the principal reasons for the economic situation. To prove this, one can only listen to the expert economists. Not one of them agreed. Most of them are confused. They don't understand why things are like they are. And it is not only in the economy that you find this. There is a great frustration and confusion in all levels of human endeavor. It is as if people have suddenly become stupefied, lacking the ability to cope or act anymore. All of this unusual behavior points to the tragedies that lie ahead. I do not claim to be a prophet, psychic, or claim any exceptional powers. But since I received the UFO message, something has led me to delve deep into the mysteries of life and the strange parallels that exist in history that link the present. And when I read in Revelation 13:18 the words, "This calls for wisdom. Whoever is intelligent can figure out the meaning of the number of the beast, because the number stands for a man's name. Its number is 666. It all began to fall in place. Here was a Bible telling me that I could figure out the future, that it was based on a numeric code. And when I applied it to past events, it did fit a common reoccurring code. Then I believed. I have applied this Solomonic Code to many areas of life, specifically those that have affected so many of us in the past few years. Based on this Solomonic Code, the changes are extremely likely to come true as predicted. The following are things that are revealed by the Solomonic Code. There is often a strange prophetic nature in history, even when none is intended. Nelson Rockefeller's mother wanted to name him with a first name beginning with the letter W, but when it was pointed out to her that since his middle name was to be Aldrich, his initials were spelled out War, she changed her mind. However, the code points out that Rockefeller could become president between 1975 and 76, and he will involve the United States in a war caused by the oil crisis. There is a Southern senator whose last name begins with the letter A, who will be found to be involved in a conspiracy which will cast an even darker shadow upon American politics and power. The code indicates that there was a conspiracy in the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King and the attempted assassination of Governor George C. Wallace. The key to the King assassination lies with a prominent businessman in Alabama, and the key to the Wallace assassination attempt lies with a Watergate figure now serving time in prison. Fidel Castro will disappear from the world scene between 1975 and 1976, and the code points to tremendous upheavals on the island of Cuba. The code points to some link between Senator Edward Kennedy and his wife in the Chappaquiddick tragedy. There are signs that this link will be revealed and Senator Kennedy's actions will be seen in a different light. The code also indicates that he will be very much on the scene in the 1976 presidential election. The code indicates that the first sign of many major disasters for North and South America will be heralded by renewed activity of a volcano in the Caribbean, which has long been felt to be inactive or dead. The code indicates that part of Tennessee are in imminent danger from a massive earthquake. The code indicates that the state of Florida, specifically the southern half, will undergo a major disaster in the near future. The code indicates that the government in Italy will fall and go communistic. The code also indicates that the church in Rome will be under great danger in the future. The code indicates that Governor George C. Wallace of Alabama will not be a factor in the presidential election of 1976. The economic situation in America and the world will darken during 1975 and grow even worse in 1976. All of the events I applied this code to, none was stronger in its signs than the one that pointed to Russia having a major confrontation between 1975 and 76. The only thing that was not clear was whether it was with the United States or China. It may be both. There was a sign, however, that showed the Soviet Union occupying Arab land. Again, it should be mentioned that sometimes casual things offer strange prophetic clues to history. The students at Howard Hughes School wrote in his yearbook that he would become a British spy when he was grown. The code indicates that Howard Hughes will pass from the world scene between 1975 and 76, and information will pour forth that he alone has been responsible for some very major tragic events in American history. He will go down in infamy as one of the strangest and most devious men in contemporary history. The next prophecy should not be taken in a Sodom and Gomorrah sense, but I repeat it only as it was revealed by the Solomonic Code. The code indicates that New Orleans, Louisiana has been and still is the scene of several great evils against the United States and the world. The code indicates that a terrible disaster will befall the city of New Orleans in the near future. The code indicates a number of major racial riots to occur in a number of American cities between 1975 and 1976. The code definitely indicates a major earthquake for the state of California. The code indicates that a private investigation now going on will show that mass murderer Charles Manson in California was linked to a very rich man who had a much greater goal in mind than the murder of a few people in California. This rich man is part of a worldwide, extremely evil and dangerous organization. The strongest link that is revealed when the Solomonic Code is applied to the assassination of John F. Kennedy is Mexico and Cuba and the CIA. These two countries and the CIA appear to have the key to this murder. The code indicates that former President Richard M. Nixon will fade from the world scene between 1975 and 1976. The code indicates that England will have a king between 1975 and 76, but the code indicates that England is fading from the world scene. The code indicates a major earthquake in the area of St. Louis, Missouri. The truth about Watergate, that is, the break-in and the subsequent exposure of the people involved, has yet to be told. There is a great deal more to the story. An elaborate conspiracy was connected with the break-in. The key to this exposure rests with one of the Watergate personnel now serving time in prison, and Robert Vesco, a fugitive now residing in South America. There is a famous underground figure who will die between 1975 and 76, and with his death will come the revelation that he had participated in a conspiracy against the United States of the greatest magnitude. The code indicates that nuclear material has been stolen from a major power facility. The code indicates that this material will definitely endanger a large segment of a major American city. The code indicates that France will play a dominant role in world events in the next 2 years. I applied the Solomonic Code to the UFOs since this phenomena has increased in the last few years. What the code reveals is that the Earth will be invaded from outer space. However, the invasion does not indicate that it will be harmful to the world. It also is not indicated in the near future. The code indicates that it will occur in the 1980s. The code indicates that the purpose of the UFOs during the past few years has been in preparation for this invasion. However, the code does indicate that the UFO invasion will have a bad result for some people on the earth. People who prophesy gloom and doom are never perceived with great enthusiasm, and I fully appreciate that. If the signs for these events and other equally astounding occurrences were not so strong, I certainly would not want to associate myself with them. I am reluctant to do so at any case, but I think that the world is on the brink of disaster, but there may still be some chance to change it. I doubt it, but one has to hope. The word Solomon is taken from the Hebrew word Solomonic, which means peace. I believe that is the warning of Fatima and the warning of Revelation, that we must seek peace, and peace in its truest sense. Not only peace between nations, but peace between races and peace between people, brothers and sisters, husbands and wives, men, women, and God. In the 3rd chapter of St. John in the Bible is related the following occurrence. There was a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus, a ruler of the Jews. The same came to Jesus by night and said unto him, Rabbi, we know that thou art a teacher come from God, for no man could do these miracles that thou doest except God be with him. Jesus answered and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. Nicodemus saith unto him, How can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter into the second time into his mother's womb and be born? The wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but cannot tell whence it cometh and whither it goeth. So is every one that is born to the Spirit, replied Jesus. If I have told you earthly things, and you believe not, how shall you believe if I tell you of heavenly things? Here in the 3rd chapter of St. John, I believe that Jesus sums up man's inability to understand, or his lack of willingness to understand, anything that tends to stretch his imagination or requires him to think in any terms beyond his immediate realm of safety and security. This is the dilemma confronting not only critics and disbelievers, but also the believers. For the critic and disbeliever, since there is no rational or mentally secure explanation, comfort lies in rejection. For the believer, since there is no help from the sources they usually turn for answers, religious, government, etc., they fall victim to another biblical quotation. They squeeze out the gnat while swallowing the camel. Because no matter where you turn, the signs are unmistakable. Our futures are imperiled. Ancient Hopi Indian prophecies say that World War III will begin in the East, launched by those people that first received the light, the Chinese, Egyptians, Indians, or Israelis. Many ancient and medieval astrologers predicted the conquering of all northern Europe and America by a terrible Mongol-like invader. Here is what Nostradamus predicted in his 72nd astrological quatrain. Like the great king of the Mongols, the year 1999, 7th month, a great king of terror will descend from the sky. Around this time, Mars will reign for the good cause. Most prophecies in the past have always indicated that the end of this century would be the time of major disasters for the world. I believe, however, that in some way we have accelerated time, and that these disasters are upon us, or will be in the very near future. Around the world, people of all races are struggling for recognition. Ancient prejudices are in final death struggles, clinging desperately to some last hope of reassertion. Old ideas are being swept away in the currents and rivers of new ideas, as old concepts cling to the surface of the earth, while new concepts cut away, trying to remove this crust of thousands of years of hate and ignorance. The battle is not clear-cut. It can go either way. In my UFO message, the UFO people indicated that there were two opposing forces in the universe. They referred to these opposing forces as spiritual and animalistic. They said that these forces represented an eternal struggle in the universe. They said that these animalistic forces were in control in various areas of the universe. When asked who would win out on Earth, they would not predict the outcome. They said the choice was up to us. Old ideas and concepts do not die easy deaths. Almost every new idea that has ever surfaced did so usually up through a sea of blood and human suffering, but it need not be that way. Most people believe that it takes many people to change things. It does not. It is not how many you are, rather it's how you are, no matter how many of you there are. We are not alone in the universe. And if we scrape away enough of the fear, hate, greed, covetousness, deceit, pollution, radiation, and corruption that has encrusted this planet, and let our love and spirit and true human character shine forth in the heavenly night, a new light will appear in the sky and come forth upon this planet for a new tomorrow. That is the true message of Revelation 6:66, and I believe it with all my heart.